The next challenge is web paywall. It says, check out this local newspaper I built using PHP. You'll need to pay in order to view the good stuff though. We're given a link and a download file. I did not solve this challenge during the CTF. I got very close, and after reading the author's write-up, so Sefu, this is what I was doing, but I guess I was doing something wrong and I wasn't getting back a flag, and I got frustrated and I wasn't sure if this was actually the solution, so I ended up moving on to PyJail, but this is the solution. Like I said, I did not solve it. So the challenge author here wrote their payload. Another person also uploaded a video. You can check it out here, 36071 on CTF time. There's a video and they go into a description of how they were able to solve it. So highly recommend checking those out. So like I said, I didn't solve it during the CTFs, but I'm going back afterwards and trying to understand what the actual exploit is doing. Cool, so let's take a look at the website, the source code, and then we'll look at the solution. So it's a very simple website. There's two articles here. You can see there's not too much HTML, there's just this p tag. Let me make this a little bit bigger. There's a p tag that says flag, very interesting, and a p tag that says, or p parameter that says hello world. We also can see source. This is the source that's given in the download link. But there's not too much here. If source is source, then it's just going to return this file. Otherwise, it's going to get that p parameter. It's going to read, so here's the, I guess, vulnerability, file get contents, so we can request arbitrary contents. That's great. And then if the article, the contents start with premium, it's going to say, no, this is for premium users only. And if the article starts with free, it'll return the contents, nothing here. And so then if we look at the two articles, there's all about flags in my first post. The all about flag says premium users, so this blog post probably starts with the word premium in all uppercase. And then there's this one starts with free, so we're allowed to see it. If we took a look at the source code, like I said, it's pretty much the same thing. So we have the source directory, we're given a Docker file, very simple, PHP 8, Apache, really nothing there. The styles, this font looked interesting, but that's just the font to make it look snazzy. There's these two articles, the free hello world and the flag premium, and so we can see where the flag is. It's behind this premium line, and I think that was all we were given. Cool, so at this point, a couple different ideas. Where'd it go? So we have this file get contents, which is nice. So using this, we can use a bunch of different PHP filters. It's not quite as good as the PHP include, which would allow actual execution, but we can still read arbitrary files off disk. So I think we could, as long as it starts with free, I should say. So we can, just to test to make sure it works, we could do something like, oh, you're going to see my payload here, free. And so what we're doing here is we're actually echoing. So this is a PHP handler or data stream handler. And you can just say data and then // so this is the protocol, and then you can just return free and then whatever you want afterwards. So free flags for all. And because it starts with free, it will be echoed. So like I said, these file get contents will read a lot of different stuff. You could also make an HTTP request in here. You can do a lot of crazy stuff. And so I started playing with this at first. Let's go supported streams and wrappers. So there's a bunch of different things you could play with. The first thing that caught my eye was this glob one. So I imagined, so you can use glob to do like grab multiple files at the same time. And I was hoping you could do some sort of glob wrapper where you would grab both the free file and the premium file, like this, premium, and it would join both of them, and it would still start with free, but you would grab both. But I don't think the glob handler in PHP actually works that way. I'm guessing that's what this table is trying to say, that basically none of this is supported, and to use this, you really have to use like this directory iterator structure. So would have been cool, but that didn't end up working. If you do some more digging, eventually you're going to come across this write-up on Hacktricks, and this was the intended solution. So there's a thing called LFI to RCE with PHP filters, and it all starts with this article here, which I have somewhere, this one by Locknop. Brilliant exploit, absolutely amazing. So this was found last year, and the idea is, I guess there's a little bit of history. So there's a lot of different PHP include bugs, these LFI vulnerabilities where you want to you have a way to, usually there's, in these CTF challenges or in like real world exploitation, there's a include statement, and you need to include some file off of disk, and you want it to be a PHP file you control. And so the simplest way is like if there's an upload handler or something like that, you just upload your own PHP file, and then you can put a reverse shell in there. So it just like, you know, you do like a system get one or something like that, so you can read arguments off the URL. But using this exploit, you're able to abuse conversions, like language conversions, like these things, to prepend arbitrary text. And so you don't even need anything on disk. Using these, like abusing these different character sets, it's possible to create any text you want, and then PHP will execute it, which is insane. I feel like this breaks every single include. But I guess I shouldn't say it breaks. I think if you have a vulnerable include, most likely your system is already pwned, no matter what. But this just trivializes the exploit development for any include. You no longer have to do different race conditions. I think there's an article that talks about, the PHP. Here's a bunch of, it talks about different techniques that people previously used. So this is, you can upload large files, and if it's over 4 kilobytes, it'll write the file onto disk. And so then you can go to that one. You can use wrappers like zlib to, create temporary files. I think this is another temporary file exploit. I've also used the session handlers before. So PHP will create, like if you have a PHP session, somewhere on disk, it'll be like temp and then sesh and then your hex session ID, something like this. And so if you can set your username to some like PHP statement, you can read your session file off of disk. So there's a whole bunch of different tricks for getting these PHP LFIs, but basically with this attack, you don't need any of those tricks anymore. You can just run the script and it basically auto wins for you. Anyways, so I found this during the CTF, and I tried to get it working, and for some reason it just, I don't know. I think I didn't spend enough time digging into what it was actually doing, and it seemed too good to be true. I figured maybe it was like patched or something, because the script, I would run the script and just nothing would happen when I actually ran it against remotely. I figured that maybe the character sets were different on different machines, and maybe these were like outdated character sets. So I ended up generating my own character sets and rerunning it. But I guess, I don't know, I must have been doing something wrong, because I just ran it again and it worked fine. So I missed out on a pretty simple solve, because I think this is just, basically for this solution, you just run the script and it gives you the answer. Anyways, so I decided to dig a little bit deeper into what these scripts are doing and make sure I fully understand the solution. So I wrote this script. So this is cool. So this is a script that kind of helps. It goes step by step through the actual solution, so we can understand how all these conversions are generating the final payload that works. Cool. So let me make sure it's running. It is running. So a first step is I created this fake index2.php and I put it on our local Docker. So it's no erroring. This is pretty much just copying a couple of lines from the real challenge. So it's going to get the article contents from our p parameter, and then it's just going to echo it out. So just echoing out whatever it would be. Like normally there's going to be that free and premium check, but we're ignoring that for now. And this is a script that's just going to print out a bunch of information so we can start debugging and understanding what the final exploit is actually doing. So there's this a base URL. So this is the localhost, our Docker, the index2, that file I just showed. It's going to start with PHP filter. And this is the string or the chain of convert filters that actually generates the payload. You can see there's a whole bunch of them. I just don't even recognize any of these words. But somehow by doing all of this with the base64 encodes and decodes, it'll generate the word free at the very start of the flag article. And then at the very end, I just do a data plaintext with a banana just so we can see where we are. Cool. And so what this is going to do is it's going to split this entire chain. And it's going to split the entire chain and just go element by element and add one to the end. And so we can see how our payload is changing as we add each thing. And if we clear Python 3 solve for, let me make this bigger. Actually, let's do a clear reset. Get rid of everything. All right, let's go back to the top. So this is the base64 of free. And so overall, what this payload is going to do is it's going to try and generate this string, which is just free, using base64 and all those character encodings. And so the very first character encoding it's going to apply is this one. And so this one's pretty crazy. So this is Korean. So I don't know what CS is, but this is the ISO, International Standards, 2022 Korean. And so what this is doing is it prepends 2 or 3 characters right to the start. You can notice this character is like sticking down a little bit past the bottom of the line. It's a very strange character. But then we have a B somewhere, so that's not a B, that's not a B. Maybe 43 is a B. Actually no, 62 is a B, yeah, because it goes BA. So 62, B1. So we started with just the string banana. If we look back at our payload, sol4, we're starting with our resource is just the word banana. And when we apply this character conversion, it prepends all of this text, which is crazy, and it doesn't modify anything else. It's just prepending a bunch of stuff. And I think one thing to keep in mind as we go through all these weird character encodings, I don't think any of them actually touch valid ASCII. So as long as we're under integer 128 or whatever, those ASCII characters pretty much remain untouched through this whole process, which is how we're able to get the flag at the very end. But like I said, so step 1, it prepends these characters, these two. Then we're going to do a base64 encode. So we're going to take these strange characters and we're going to convert them into valid ASCII characters. Then we're going to run this UTF one. Again, oops, didn't mean to do that. It's going to do some who knows what, some conversions that are somehow helpful to the author that generates these scripts. They brute force them. But anyways, so then we're going to run it through UTF-16. And so we can see here it's prepending a bunch of zeros in front of the ASCII characters because, they're already, it's just going to go null byte and then 46 because it's UTF-16. But we can see here it's going to convert these starting characters into something a little bit strange, don't quite understand. And then we're going to do another character conversion and then another character conversion. And then at this point, you'll notice that there's this little lowercase g, and then there's some strange characters here. At this point, we're going to do a base64 decode and encode. And if we notice what's different, we now have a G and then a capital GYQ. And if we notice at our very start, we started with this GYQ. So now through all these different steps, we ended up with a G at the very start. And if we look up here, we're trying to get the base64 free. We notice that there's a G. And so basically through all these different, first we prepended some random characters, and then through all these different character conversions, and then through the magic of base64 decode and encode, which selectively filters, or it just gets rid of the invalid characters, we now have a G at the start in our payload. There's some extra stuff at the end, but we don't worry about that too much. And then basically we just do that again. So now instead of using the Korean character set, you can also use this UTF-1 and with a combination of UTF-8, UTF-7, and UTF-16. And we'll see it starts with 67, 67, and now it goes to EF, BF, DE, EF, blah, 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 and then we get to 67. So using this, we prepended a bunch of garbage again. And then using this strange character encoding, you can notice there's an A in here. And so again, we have a whole bunch of just garbage to kind of mess around with. And then if we do our base64 decode to kind of remove some of that garbage and then re-encode it, we'll notice now we have an AG. And so an AG and then our GYQ. And so just remember GYQ is our original payload, which is just banana, so GYQ. Where'd that go? And then we have AG at the start of the GYQ, and AG is the last 2 characters of free. So I think we kind of understand what's going on now. Basically, this giant payload string is just going to use a couple different character encodings that prepend some garbage to the front, and then massaging that garbage with other character encodings until we can get a character we like. And then we'll do an encoding, decoding of base64 to kind of filter out the invalid characters, and we're left with only the character we desire. And what's cool is our original payload, like the banana word, will still be in there in the payload somehow. It's just going to be carried along, even though it's going through all these different character conversions. But because it's just like boring ASCII, I think none of the conversions actually change it at all. And so it's just going to be encoded, re-encoded. I think I wouldn't be surprised if there's some encoding that actually corrupts it somehow. But at least for this CTF challenge, we didn't use any character encodings that did anything too strange to it. Like I imagine, I think I did a challenge a while ago. There was a Turkish eye challenge, or a challenge that involved the Turkish eye. And if you look at Turkish eye, there's like a different characters if you do a 2 upper and a 2 lower. And so I can imagine something like that, like if you had an eye in the solution, maybe at some point one of these encodings does like a 2 upper, and you get into a different, all the I's and other characters and O's are converted to a different character in set, and then they're all clobbered, but it seemed to be working fine for this one. But anyways, yeah, it's just going to go through. The next character is an S, so we have SAG doing the same thing. And yeah, it just goes through, and at the very end, you're left with the original payload. There's a bunch of gibberish in there, but also then it starts with the word free. So there's a couple different scripts that do this. If you go back to that LFI, this hack tricks link, there's a script here. This one specifically generates a payload, this one. So we just have a PHP handler for, a remote shell, a remote backdoor. And somewhere there's a GitHub link. Oh, this is also interesting. It'll generate the encodings for you. So I ran this during the CTF. I thought maybe that these encodings weren't valid on all systems, but it didn't seem to be the issue. But you can run this. It outputs it in a weird format, so you have to write another script that parses it and then puts it back into that dictionary. But anyways, here's the tool. Basically, this challenge, if you just trust this tool to work, and it does work, you just run this command and it'll generate for you. So let's just run the script to see what it generates. I think I have it downloaded. Yep. PHP filter. Oh yeah, sorry. Python. PHP, and we need Python 3. Let's see what it wants. It wants just the chain. Cool. And the chain we want is we just want it to start with free. So it's doing like you saw, it deals with base 64 characters, and an easy way to deal with base 64 characters, you can see it talks about padding. Basically it means you want everything to be modulo 3, so you can see it's 4 right now, so if you just add 2 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, it'll be mod 6, it'll be mod 3 is equal to 0. Basically it just needs to be rounded to 3 characters for base 64 to work correctly without equal signs. Cool. So we run this, like I said, basically once we run this, it just gives us the payload. Like I said, if you know what the trick is, you just run that command and you're pretty much there. And so we're just going to plop this in here, hope everything works. And yeah, that was it. Just running a simple command. So you can see this is the premium article, but we were able to use that trick. We were able to prepend the word free, and then there's 2 spaces, and then some other garbage, and then premium, and here's the flag. So pretty cool challenge. But this exploit, like absolutely amazing. The person who found this, Locknop, it was during a CTF, and I feel like they kind of changed the whole landscape of include vulnerabilities. From now, you never have to worry about getting some file on disk. You can just use this. There might be some cases like if you have an include statement. So I guess I did a CTF a couple days ago where you might have something where it does like include media. So it wouldn't work on this one because it's prepended. There's some text prepended, so you can't do like a PHP filter. But anywhere that just allows you to start right at the base, PHP like right here, it's just easy remote code execution. So anyways, cool challenge. I'm a little bit disappointed that I didn't solve it during the CTF, and I was like right there. I just gave up too quickly. But yeah, very, very cool stuff. Props to the challenge author and the other solutions. Like I said, you should check them out. There's one at CTF time. And then obviously, if you're not in the Discord, you should be in the Discord. It's a lot of good discussion.